Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Marketing Monday, where we give our expert insights into current marketing news. I'm Kris Risner, CEO of VIE Media and an expert marketer.
There we go.
And with me, I've got Eric Brown, president and partner at VIE Media.
What up, y'all?
And we've got some great topics to chat about today, so let's go ahead and hop into it, starting with Starbucks eliminates the global CMO role. So I went ahead and pulled a study done by Rains, and it says that CMOs are losing their influence. 73% of Fortune 250 companies have a global CMO, but only 44% sit in the C-suite. So they're not even in
so it's just
the
a title.
actual, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And 23% don't feel like their CEO even understands what they're doing. And 42% say that they don't have clear alignment with their CEOs on key performance metrics.
What are your thoughts on that? And then I'll go ahead and give you my thoughts.
So, I mean, I feel like, and we were talking about this before, but the CMO role is it's a catch-all title almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really hard to dictate exactly what their job is, which I think is part of what leads to, people not being able to align on what the strategy is.
I think the big thing with, what I find funny here is it says 23% of CMOs were unsure their CEO understood their job. As marketers, we feel that every goddamn day. That is every day.
Very true.
That it's not, it's usually obviously the CEOs. You have to explain a lot of the time to these people what exactly the marketer is doing. Because when we encounter large organizations that we're working with where, there's a CMO and maybe there's some marketing people underneath them, it always seems like the CMOs always say the same thing, which is, they're misaligned with what the CEO wants to do. The CEO essentially gives them tasks, right? And I think that's why kind of the CMO role is being wiped out, is at the end of the day, they're just following tasks from the CEO, or, now you have the CRO and all these other titles. So I'm thinking that at the end of the day, the CMOs, what they do on a daily basis is going to be funneled to these different, executive roles. And maybe they'll have a director of marketing, right? They'll have a director, but they're never going to have like a C-level executive for marketing. It's essentially going to be someone that implements marketing on behalf of the executives. But yeah, 100%. CMOs, a lot of the time, CEOs have no idea. They never seem like they're on the same point.
Yeah. And the CEO is creating a lot of the vision for the marketing anyway. Mm-hmm. So it would make more sense for them to have a director of marketing underneath them versus a CMO trying to create their own marketing vision outside of that.
I think the CMO could use, the CEO and the executives level, to make sure that what they're doing is the vision of the company and making sure that their marketing campaigns are pushing that forward. But yeah, it seems like from a standpoint of the companies themselves, they themselves don't see the value of having a CMO.
Yeah. And another thing, and this is something that we run into.
But why do you think Starbucks specifically eliminated? What's with Starbucks? Why did they eliminate the CMO role?
I think Starbucks is kind of going through like a crisis period with all the union talks. And I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really keep up with Starbucks because I don't go to Starbucks.
Sure.
And you just said that you don't either, but
I don't go very often, no. The only reason I go is because I get gift cards in one of my networking groups.
There you go.
For Starbucks, but other than that,
But I mean,
I make coffee and espresso at home. I don't need Starbucks.
Between all the union talks and everything, I think they're just kind of struggling to figure out their vision right now. Like, I don't think they're growing.
Mm-hmm.
But also what I was going to say is that this is kind of an issue that we have as a marketing agency also, is that marketing and sales.
2023, they had a 12% year-over-year revenue. 36 bill.
So, I mean, that's not bad.
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't keep up with Starbucks.
Yeah, so I still don't understand why they would get rid of the CMO role. They're so big. Like, how do they...
Well, it's also their global CMO, so they probably have chief marketing officers
for each individual territory.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Then they just report.
And that goes back to having director of marketing and having it.
So really, there's a shitload of directors of marketings for all the territories of Starbucks.
Probably. I don't know their internal structure.
Hmm. That is odd though that they would get rid of the CMO role. I also wouldn't have thought that only 44% of global CMOs sit in the C-suite. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I guess that makes sense though, because I don't know, for the most part, it seems like the people that fall into the CMO roles are more so just, enacting on again what the executives want, not so
Yeah, it's a lot
much.
more of a fulfillment role
Correct.
than a leadership role.
Correct. Yep.
And I think that's really where the big, like, back in the day, because historically this was a more prestigious role
Mhm.
and they were leaders. But now, I mean, everything just kind of comes down to fulfillment. And I think that also comes down to like CEOs have marketing as such a major part of their vision
Mhm.
that they kind of have, like, they have to have their hands within their marketing
100%.
for just about every business
Yep.
because otherwise they're just losing. Like, they have to know how everything goes together.
100%.
Uh,
So with one last thing on the Starbucks thing,
okay.
I, I do want to say this. The CMO should have been like, these prices are too damn high. Because let me tell you, the quality of the coffee at Starbucks, maybe they're going to focus more so on where they're getting their beans from, how they're roasting the stuff. Because Starbucks, or how about just quality control? How about just QC? Can we get some QC in this? If I go to Starbucks, this is my biggest complaint with Starbucks. If I go to Starbucks and I order the same thing every time, I hardly ever get the same thing every time. Shaken espresso with cold foam on top. Dude, how hard is this? It's different every time. I'm like, isn't it just a specific amount of espresso, a specific amount of syrup, a specific amount of foam, a specific amount of ice? And then you shake it, right?
Yeah.
That is, I already know how it's made. That's how it is. So I'm confused how it's different across the board. All right, now we're just talking about Starbucks. All right, let's move on to the next subject. X offers hiring on its platform. X becoming the all-in-one app. X, aka Twitter. What are your thoughts on this, Kris?
So I'm really excited about it. I saw this while I was poking around in my premium settings.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Elon Musk said pretty much from the beginning that he wanted to turn X into the all in one app. He wants to do payments. He wants to do, I mean, just about everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
And hiring is probably one of the best ways to use X. I mean, really, like, as like what we do with X right now, especially since we're so locally focused, is really just recruiting through X.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's our only goal with it. We're not necessarily trying to get local clients
Yep.
because the audience on X isn't really local.
Yep.
But being able to recruit on there and get, put up job listings and find good talent, that's honestly one of the best uses for X, I think, moving forward.
I just saw this, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Elon Musk because this dude keeps killing the game. Like what? A hiring platform on X. So the best thing about this is, and what I've really noticed with X, and you can like Elon or not, or like what he's done with the company. I know a lot of people haven't or don't like it, but he got rid of a lot of the overhead. Right? He fired, I think, like 70% of the people when he came there. He lost, of course, some advertisers, but I believe now that X is better off than right before when he bought it, as far as like profitability, cash flow. And now he just offered something else that a ton of businesses, I'm sure, are going to pay for. Because businesses know that with recruiting, Indeed is awful. Indeed is the worst.
And LinkedIn is
Uh,
worse.
Indeed, and I'm sure business owners will listen to me now saying, fuck Indeed. And the reason is it's a lot of bottom of the barrel people that are just, no offense to that, you got a lot of bottom of the barrel people applying to hundreds of different jobs. And then you also have people, companies on Indeed that just have a job listing there that have no, I would say probably over half of the job listings on Indeed, those companies have, it's just sitting there. They're not actually hiring for those positions. So I think this is good for X, number one, because it's good for their bottom line. It's going to bring them revenue. And number two, now it's going to bring more people to X in the first place. So a lot of those, I would assume a lot of those businesses that didn't like Elon at first, this is going to give them another reason to come back to the platform. It's almost like an FU. It's like, hey, now we're doing this. I love it. I think it's great.
I mean, one of the greatest things about it, I think, is that like X is all about kind of finding your niche and finding your group of people that you interact with.
Mhm.
And a lot of those groups are professional groups. Like I go on X specifically to talk to WordPress people and marketing people and see the latest news in SEO and PPC.
Mhm.
Like that's my entire feed.
Yep.
And so I'm already seeing all of these different people in the marketing field, but being able to actively put on my profile, hey, we're hiring for this position,
Mhm.
and having these people, especially with, remote work becoming a bigger thing
Yep.
because, X is such a global community versus like Facebook is a lot more locally based.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I mean, that's really the thing that I'm most excited about with it is being able to just get recruiting within the WordPress groups.
Yeah. Twitter and X is interesting as a platform itself. You really have to figure out how to build the people you're following. I don't know. I find it harder. I've always found it harder to use Twitter at first to really find like what you were saying, those people, those groups. But once you find that on X, another thing is I think it's going to be nice with X because, it is largely community based. Um that is just going to be even more powerful for, companies that want to hire because I would assume that their targeting could get pretty good depending on the content that that person is already consuming. Because it'd be pretty easy for X to know, hey, this guy follows marketing.
Yeah, I haven't seen their ad targeting yet. We haven't done any ads on Twitter, but I mean, they've already got the ads platform,
Yeah.
which did pretty well.
Well, it's now, and instead of people going to like ZipRecruiter or Indeed looking for a job, they're just going to be on Twitter or on X scrolling. Be like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, and like you said with Indeed, it's always the bottom of the barrel because that's the first place they go.
yep.
The difference with X is that these are professionals who actually like enjoy their job usually.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want to talk about it and talk about their field outside of that.
Yep.
So you're not getting bottom of the barrel. You're getting the people who actually like really enjoy what they're doing and are trying to get better at it.
Yeah.
And that's why they're on X. Like
Yep.
that's why we go on X is to look at SEO and PPC
Mm-hmm.
and see what's happening
Yep.
because we're trying to get better.
That actually leads us into the next question, which is Google March 2024 spam update done rolling out. We've seen across the board on Twitter, on Reddit, which is where, we talk to, a lot of our people in the same field as us, I should say. And the consensus every time Google rolls out an update, specifically for SEO, is it doesn't ever seem like there is a rhyme or a reason for websites that either go down or up. Because even our own clients, what we've seen is, we essentially have the same strategy for all of our clients, right? Obviously, they're in different industries, there's different content, things like that. But for the most part, we have, the same strategy in terms of really how we build stuff out, technical SEO, all of that kind of stuff. And even what we saw in that update, was it March or February?
It was March.
Yeah, so what we saw is some of our clients went up. A majority of them actually were impacted well, which was good, but we had a couple clients take a hit for sure. And they're just now, after like 4 weeks, starting to essentially get back to that point where they were at before. But it doesn't ever seem like there's a rhyme or reason for why Google does it. I was on Reddit looking at it, and people were saying it didn't really look like it mattered if it was AI content or not. That took a hit. Like there wasn't any sort of bottom line thing that people were pointing to that caused up or down. It just seems like Google's like, flip a coin. There you go.
Well, so this was one of the few updates where they actually kind of gave some guidelines, which was that they weren't necessarily looking for AI content, but they were trying to crack down on the low quality content farms.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we saw on Twitter a few months back, there was a guy who uh, pretty much just copied his competitor's website
Yep.
and posted out thousands of pages
Mm-hmm.
and just took over the rankings.
Yep.
And if you actually went to any of the pages, I mean, they were like 300 words at max. It
Yeah.
was trash. It was
It's
like
horrible.
very obvious AI content, and that was what they were really trying to crack down on. But the other thing that happened with the spam update, which was really weird, was we saw entire search consoles being hit. So like if, we're an agency, we've got multiple people on our search console.
Mm-hmm.
If one client got hit, they were taking down rankings on all of the websites because they assume that, if one client's doing it, all of them are doing it.
Yep.
But then everything started to come back up, and now like you said, we've got clients that are higher than they were before the update. And I don't know if that's just Google processing through everything and kind of figuring out.
That happens every time.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens every time
There's going to be a dip, and then
a
it's gonna
big
go right
update
back up.
happens when search engine rankings, SERPs are changing and everyone's freaking out. It's the same. It's always the same thing. It seems like the new people in SEO are like, "Oh my God, the world's on fire. I don't know what's happening." It's like you're just gonna have to wait it out. You're literally just gonna have to wait it out because you don't know what's gonna happen. The only thing you have on, your side is time, because that's really all you need to see. Hey, is this gonna work itself out or not? It usually almost always does.
Yeah.
If you're doing what you need to be doing properly when you're working on SEO.
And pro tip, don't immediately go and change everything on every website because it got hit.
Yeah.
Because then you're just gonna get hit even more, and then you don't even know whether it's the update and the spam update or if it's something that you did.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to ride it out with Google.
So I was the last thing on this, I was on, Reddit on the marketing subreddit, and there was this guy saying SEO is dead. So what he had, one of his websites that I guess he has maintained over the past couple of years, he has a bunch of articles, best of 2023 and all these things. So what he went in and did was change the page title.
It's the best of 2024.
Yeah, he updated the year, and he's like, I don't understand why I'm losing rankings and these pages aren't properly, like, the page titles sometimes aren't changing. It's like, we've seen this. Google, you can give Google a page title, right? But sometimes, they have variations of that. So all he did was go in and change everything to 2024, update the year, and he was like, SEO is dead. Google is not re-indexing my site, all of this. And all of the comments were like, this guy sucks at SEO. This is why SEO has a bad name. Everyone was like, of course you think SEO is dead because you're bad at your job. It was so...
He probably changed every single link also.
Dude, like
which would mean Google would have looked at it as starting from the beginning.
Yeah, so it was a funny post. It was a funny post because everyone was like, you're an idiot. Of course that happened. And he's over here arguing with people, just getting downvoted. It was so good. We've talked about a lot today.
Yeah, we actually did. We got a lot deeper into Google than I expected us to. And the global CMO role.
That's right. All right. That's all the time we have for this week. Sorry, you're about to say something. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're a global CMO and need a new job, come talk to us.
Yeah. That is all the time we have for this week. If you enjoyed this video or want to give your opinion on any topics we covered, you can find us on our personal social medias, linked below. Of course, comment, subscribe, share. We're going to be posting these weekly on our VIE Media channel. We're also going to be posting other video content about marketing on that channel as well. So please like, subscribe, share. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.